right? We're going to get into a little bit of Thundarr today because this is one of my favorite series all time. Thundarr. I love this series. Always have. Love this series. And I just wanted to kind of talk about it a little bit today. Kind of what the gap that Thundarr for me really filled in a lot of ways. Now, Thundarr comes out, man, this is like, mid 80s, right? This is like everything goes down. This is like mid 80s, this is early 80s. This is somewhere around the time like after Star Wars has come out, right? And after Conan the Barbarian. This really evolved out of that. Now, I'm going to assume this came after even like the initial heavy metals, and it was kind of in that style of animation here, right? That's really what Thundarr, the look and the feel. And this is something I always really enjoyed about Thundarr. I'm going to try to take it back a little bit because I kind of want to ramp up. Now, Thundarr is a series like this is post 1994 that the world falls apart. So this is like 2,000 years after that. But what you're seeing is the remnants of, this day and age now, at least stopping in 1994. So you get this mix, right, of this like technology in this world. You get this, obviously this fantasy element. You get, because it's been radiation and all this stuff, you get all kind of mutated animals. So we know this is like 2,000 years post 1994. And you've got like all these new kingdoms, you got mutated species, you got these mythic reinterpretations. So some levels of advanced technology, but technologies like the understanding isn't as common. Some people still, technology kind of merges more with magic at this time. So the ruins, like the spot where it all goes down, this is his main headquarters area is Los Angeles, essentially, right? Like geographically, we know the area, we know the time, and this is all about ruins, right? Everything's ruin here. And this is our hero. This is Thundarr the Barbarian. And the Barbarian at this time, like we're just coming out of the first Conan movie, which was a huge hit. And so we're seeing the Barbarian not as this like, how we typically understand barbarians. They were always these very like morally straight, morally centered at least, ideologically less confused. He was walking more chosen path. His role was as like a wanderer and a liberator. He was the enemy of wizards, slayers, and techno tyrants. So that almost kind of fits Conan in himself. And this is Thundarr. So he doesn't rule himself. He never accepts rulership, but he always disrupts rulership. That's his whole thing. His code is all about, and there's one of their wizard enemies. His code also is all about freedom is the most important thing. Justice over stability, action over debate. So he's not rebuilding civilization. He's just kind of surviving it. He's preventing the wrong ones from coming up. And you see he's got his famous sword, you can see here. And this is like his technology. It is a plasma weapon. So the sun sword itself is a blade of pure energy. This is not a magical weapon, oddly enough, right? This is a product of technology. It is plasma, this is light, this is ancient tech. This can cut through any steel, can cut through magical barriers and any monsters. And really what it represents is, the old technology. This is the remnant of old technologies. And this is why, wizards fear it. And it's a proximity weapon. And this is the staple of Conan. Even like completely goes away and just becomes an armband for him. So the wizards feel it and it falls, from the machines, right? It falls all the machines. And then there's, of course, let me get a good shot of Ariel, right? This is Ariel. And Ariel, of course, is the princess who is more than just magic, right? She's also like a psychic. She understands technology. She has telepathy. She is the descendant of the ancient technology. So she understands it. She's that bridge for Conan. She's the advanced humans by knowledge. That is how it's passed on to her. And so she functions as being the bridge between both worlds, science and magic, past and present. That's who Ariel is. And she's crucial because she's able to give him the map that he needs to function in this world. Now, Ookla, where's Ookla? There you see Ookla there, right? In the corner there. Ookla is a new species. This is kind of Wookiee adjacent. So we see a couple of like Star Wars kind of influences with the Wookiee and even the thing that he's riding there. Like, so we see some influence. And he's this superhuman strength, endurance, combat instinct, speaks his own language, so he stays very much in the lane of Chewbacca, another remnant. And, he's one of the non-human casualties of the collapse. Like, these species are pushed to extinction or servitude. So he has a choice. He could rule through force. Instead, he finds a purpose kicking in with Thundarr, right? What better purpose could there be than rolling with Thundarr or Conan, right? Like, everybody wants to roll with these guys because they get business done. So the main threat in this world is always like wizards or former scientists. Wizards and scientists are kind of in the same vein, right? And you're going to see why in the series, because they're crossing streams all the time, wizards and scientists. And then, of course, you have all these creatures like you see here, these mutated creatures from radiation, experiments. There's all kind of stuff going on. And then you have the machines, like people get a hold of technology and they go crazy with that. So all this means is that this landscape is a big warning to you and me that the future doesn't automatically get smarter, and collapse doesn't reset morality. It kind of reveals him. So in this case, the barbarian is not the enemy, and the core message is that you have to have knowledge to walk with courage. Like Conan has to have knowledge to be able to walk with courage, but power must be the answer to freedom, right? So this is kind of the world that he's in, and we see him pivot and deal with like some real excesses. And so all this stuff is going on under the landscape of the early. I think this must be like 1984. I think that all this is out. So Conan kind of gave us the spine of Thundarr, and then of course we get the Sun Sword, which is like a lightsaber. It's a liberation weapon at this point. And he's not a king, he's not a knight, he's not any of this. All this stuff is hidden within that and what we think the world ultimately is going to be. So we get to this first episode, which is the Black Pearl. And the Black Pearl, if you see it here, like, you're Thundarr, you're rolling around, and it's kind of messed up. Like, you're rolling around, you might see a mutated monster, like they see one right here. And then you're rolling around, you're like, man, something's wrong. And you see some mole guys, right? This is all it is, like mole guys. There's all these various sets of really bad dudes that are around here. So you see this mole guy attacking the humans. So Thundarr's like, yeah, of course, we can't let this go down. So he rescues this guy, right? He has to run up on these guys. And I mean, these are some pretty advanced moles. This guy has on clothing and is wearing a crown, and he speaks really good English. Has a strong accent, but he does speak really good English, okay? Which I think is some real advancement post-apocalypse for these guys. So then we see them, he like what's obviously what's going on. We're jumping these guys. Let's get these rats out of here. And the rats have evolved to the point like he's got on gloves and they're using weapons and they talk trash. These aren't just like, we're scurrying around, or these are moles here, I'm sorry. But that's what the radiation has done to all these guys. But Ookla's not having it, and you can see, like, so ultimately get to this point where this guy's got this sacred black pearl that they have to get to the wizard, and this is all about wizard power. So this itself is a created item. So of course, then they go on, and so you're fighting. You can see by the backdrop, you're fighting a mix of a lot of things, like because next you get these kind of robotic knights. So we've already shown you, some mole men. We've already given you, like some lizard mutated guys. And now this, right? Now these like robot bodied knights. So a very odd mix of like a car is pushed over there. So we get a lot, right? And then this is where you get into the technology, because the technology is still around. So this is the landscape of this world that Thundarr is living in, right? So what does Thundarr do? Of course, they just take the helicopter. How he knows how to fly a helicopter doesn't even make any sense to me. But this is who Thundarr is, because he just says, okay, I've got an open mind about technology. I know what you guys think about a barbarian, but this is where this guy is, and it works out, right? So they're able to get through the ruins of the city. This is kind of what's left of the various civilizations, and these are always being pressed by anybody who gets like, yeah, we got some rat man or whatever like that. They're always getting pressed, and you see that they look like they're doing bad, right? So they like, this guy has a shirt on, no shirt, but he has on sleeves, and I don't understand any part of that. Okay, but whatever. So, so this is the bad guy's lair, which is Mad Jetsons. This is Mad Jetsons. It's in the swamp, but this is Mad Jetsons. So again, this incredible swing of technology that we're seeing, right? People live in basic, some people with no shirts on but sleeves, some people living in the Jetsons apartment building, right? Mad Jetsons here, right? And somehow Thundarr and Ookla are Han Solo in it, right? And he's flying a jet. He doesn't even know what a jet. He's flying a helicopter. Has no idea what a helicopter actually is. But he looked at it and he figured out how to fly it. So there, and Ookla's like, yeah, I'll be able to fly this helicopter after, right? That's what they're discussing right here. Is that look, I'm gonna have to get out of the helicopter, so I'm gonna need you to jump into the helicopter, right, to handle business. So this is all what's going on. So you can see the mindset of both these guys is very whatever happens is gonna happen. Okay. This is the mold of the barbarian that we're seeing. Okay, whatever happens. So Thundarr, of course, jumps out, and okay, so you're in the lair. The sun sword is good for anything, including opening up a hidden lair. So I'm just gonna cut that open and jump in, which he does. Okay, and now I mean, and I'm not joking, you guys. These are some extremely well designed sets and layers that he like. It's animation at an extremely high level, and I always thought, this is around the time we had heavy metal, wizards, and all this stuff. I don't know what happened to American animation. I was a big fan of it as a kid, but it seemed like we went a different direction, and Disney like ate everything up, right? But you can see like these are great sets. This is great storylines. It's a 22-minute episode. So now we're at the lair of the wizard, and you can see like, okay, again, the sun sword opens all doors. So I'm in, and you see this wizard, and it's this techno wizard that is not your traditional wizard. This is a wizard of technology, right? So this is kind of what Thundarr. So he's got a nice little lair. He's got a nice desk and everything. He's able to articulate himself. He's got his armor on, right? I mean, this is a nice, this is a definitive world. This is a definitive world. And if we talk about like American animation storytelling, this was, I believe, that the height of it here, right? Encompassing all the elements, post-apocalypse, right? Just the technology, the fantasy world, all that stuff is summed up in the series. And of course, Ariel, she uses her magic to get out. But this is the problem. Ookla literally can't fly this helicopter. This is not Chewbacca. Okay, where Chewbacca could do it, Ookla is like, yeah, I'm gonna do what I would do with anything else, and I'm gonna break it. And now I'm gonna kick the whole console out of the entire helicopter. So clearly this isn't gonna work anymore. But fortunately, they're able to crash land. He's able to jump out, Ariel, jump on their horses, and ride off. And in this episode, right, Thundarr, of course, has the stone which can, defeat the wizard's power, and chooses to give it back because he's never about power. But I just want to shine some light. Like, I'm gonna go through this series probably in greater detail, but just like the landscape of what Conan's world really is, it's massively complex. It shows a lot about kind of how we saw the world, or how we, as humans, kind of look at the post-apocalypse, and like knowledge isn't forever. But just a great series. Thanks for stopping in. I'm just kind of, doing some casual stuff for this channel, and let me know what you guys are into. I'm going to be breaking down this series and some other series here, and I'll be back with episode 2 of this great Conan series. Excuse me. Wow.